universal credit vlog. Universal credit and food banks, really, because I'll try and make this video, but there is background noise, so I don't know. But food banks are only, people get to a stage where they've probably been paid before they've been unemployed or on universal credit. They may have been paid weekly, and then they have to go on universal credit, which is paid monthly, and then they get like the last 2 weeks of the month where they probably run out of money or mismanaged it or whatever, yeah. But the fact is that when they go to a food bank, they have no food. However they've got to that situation, that is their situation at that point of time. And so they've got from here to here, and they've got to get from here to here. And if they've got no food, they're going to struggle to get from here to here, right? That's as basic as it gets. But the problem is that the person that pays their money, which is universal credit, when a person gets to here and he's got no food, most people would actually want to pay back the food bank the amount of food at the value that the food was given to them, and would want to pay it back, but they don't get that chance. Yes, they can donate some food, approximately of what when they get themselves back into a better situation, but they can't pay the exact money for the food that they have had at a food bank. And the reason why they get themselves a leg is they phone universal credit up when they run out of money and say, can I have a loan? But they've probably already got a loan anyway, so that they can't, and you'll get told by universal credit, well no, you already owe this, so we can't give you anything. You can't borrow it anymore until you've paid it off. At that point, then the conversation closes with universal credit, and then that leaves them where? Exactly. Stuck, really, with no food. So then they have to then go down and get a food voucher just to survive, to get through the end of the month. But they don't have, instead of actually getting a food voucher, they should get a supermarket voucher, say 50 quid, so that they know that they can actually pay back or rebuy a food voucher or donate the food voucher when they get back into financial okay. They can say, well, I borrowed, and they can get a till receipt of exactly all the food they purchased with that supermarket voucher, and they can then donate to the penny exactly how much they had food, and they can pay that back. But you can't do that with a food bank, because you don't know how much it cost, and it was donated anyway, and it's almost like impossible to actually give back to the food bank, even though you want to. I know this because I've tried to donate. I've always had domain names for a few years now. Right? I've tried to offer domain names. I can't sell them. I can't find a broker to sell them, and every day I see them selling for thousands of pounds. Right? So I've tried to donate some domain names worth a few quid to food banks, but they don't understand the value and they don't want them. And then I've actually, because I own a few good homeless website addresses as well, homeless, that sort of thing, because it's my cup of tea, and debt, because most people on universal credit are usually in debt and financially skint and on the verge of homelessness. So I can redirect some of my domain names into homeless charities, but then again I'm probably getting off this, but sometimes people, when they're homeless at a food bank, they need money as well as food. The food bank gives you the food, but you may need 30 quid or 50 quid of fuel money to get you to the end of the week, to the end of the couple of weeks. You may need to get to work. You may have work to get to, even though you've got a food bank, and you can't get from here to here. There's a lot of reasons why, and again, when you get to that situation, when I was in my car, I wasn't getting paid accommodation expenses because my accommodation in my living in a car was not considered as living as accommodation expenses, even though I didn't have any room. I just lived in the car. So had I had the accommodation expenses, I would have actually been alright, and I'd have got around. I'd have been better off. but I was having to use my living expenses to cover my accommodation and insurance and expenses, which has left me without food at times. But the problem is that people that make the food banks are fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and but you've got to be able to help the food bank out or reimburse the food bank for the food, and we don't know how much the food costs, so they should say this is your food, or this is a voucher. You see, even that, the money comes from the food comes from the people who donate the food, and sometimes the supermarkets. Whereas it would be easier to donate the voucher, a food supermarket voucher, so that the person knows exactly how much it is, and they can actually just say, well, this is what it is, and you get it on your bank, and you can pay it back to the supermarket, so you know you've paid back your food bank amount. But you don't get that opportunity because you just get a food bank voucher and you get some food. But the problem is that people are really, really struggling. Like you should even have a deduction, a savings deduction, even on universal credit, say £20 a week, where that is saved. So for you personally, the person claiming it, so that is as a reserve. So if you get stuck, you can draw against that. People aren't saving. Back in the day, they used to. People no longer save, so they're not saving money. So when they run out of money, there is no money. They've not saved enough to actually get themselves out of a rainy day financially. And this is going back to food banks, but there wasn't food banks in the 80s. There wasn't food banks. You was unemployed, and that was it. There was no internet. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no broadband. There was no phone. Yeah, no. You didn't have your own smartphone. You had nothing. Just a unemployment benefit and job club. That was it. So now it's easier to be unemployed, but people aren't budgeting. There should be money school. There should be money saving classes at universal credit offices. Banks should be involved. Banks should be at universal credit, a little bank branch. People now we're going to go towards completely managed money, so you get paid, even universal credit or at work, and your whole money is managed, and you'll just get a weekly grocery van turn up at your house with your groceries, and that's it. And the rest of it, as long as you've got food,